Greetings, I'm your host, Dr. Wolfula. When I'm not moving your household items slightly when you aren't looking, I'm here at the Wolfula, reviewing movies. The movie I'll be discussing this time is Always Watching, a Marble Hornets story. Yeah, that's the actual title of the movie. Let me explain. There's a popular internet urban legend called the Slenderman. I know, Slenderman sounds like it would be one of David Bowie's stage personas, but it's not. Slenderman is actually a man with no face, who wears a black suit and is incredibly photogenic. The camera loves him. Slenderman was created by a user named Victor Surge as an entry in a monstrous Photoshop thread on the Something Awful forum. Slenderman took off in popularity, and the character was adapted in 2009 for a found footage style video series called Marble Hornets, about a guy who goes through some old tapes from a friend's pretentious student film and discovers a mysterious faceless entity in the footage. In his pursuit for answers, this young man eventually finds himself pursued by the entity known as the Operator and other things. Marble Hornets reimagined Slenderman and gave him a proper name as the Operator, and built a mythos surrounding this faceless MIB agent. Marble Hornets, to me, is found footage done right with very little. I enjoyed the series in spite of some drawbacks it had, and me not really liking Slenderman all that much. I mean, Marble Hornets was a free internet show made by students with no money. You can be as snarky of an internet smartass as you want, but what was accomplished with Marble Hornets was impressive for what it was, even if you didn't like it. With that out of the way, and with Slenderman overexposed to an insane degree, of course there's now a movie taking place in the Marble Hornets universe, released about a year after the show ended in 2014. I knew the movie was getting made all the way back in 2013, but the release made no noise at all on my end. I didn't even know it was coming out this year, and I had been following it. Great fucking marketing. Always Watching, a Marble Hornet story, is about this. A news crew is on a run-of-the-mill job, telling the story of house repossessions. Yawn. Here's where things get interesting, though. The crew comes across a peculiar house, abandoned in a hurry, and nobody knows why. In the basement, strange symbols are drawn on the walls, and a box of tapes is found. The crew seizes these tapes and goes through them to help tell their story with some primo personal perspective. The tapes, as shot by a father, paint the picture of a loving family. You know it's a loving family because the little daughter gets a birthday party. You can't get more loving than that. Things start to get weird, though, when a faceless figure starts appearing in this footage, and the dad becomes increasingly paranoid about somebody watching his family. While going through the footage, Milo the cameraman starts to have weird stuff happen to him as well, which isn't all that different from the shit he saw on the tapes. Milo investigates this nonsense, and winds up involving his coworkers Sarah and Charlie. Sarah and Charlie weren't exactly willing to get mixed up in all of this, but when the operator's after you, you kinda have to do stuff you don't feel like doing. The search for answers leads this intrepid news crew on a hunt for the family that left nothing behind but a box of tapes. Well, those and their entire house, but that doesn't sound as cool when you include it. So the gang and their dog go on a road trip in their van, hoping to solve a mystery involving a scary monster man. Wait a second, this sounds really familiar for some reason. Probably just my imagination. Always Watching has a compelling premise for a found footage movie, but its execution is by the numbers. Not a whole lot happens for most of the movie, and when stuff does happen, it's not very interesting. Before the operator starts doing his thing, the movie tries to establish its three characters.
You don't? No, she's drinking? Not at all. She does not drink. Do you want a coffee or something?
Yeah.
I'll get a coffee. I mean, Irish coffee.
Milo and Charlie have romantic feelings toward their reporter co-worker, Sarah. Milo and a drunk Sarah share a moment together on one New Year's Eve. I know, because Milo filmed it like a creep. The relationship fails to build momentum, so Milo starts stalking and filming Sarah.
Oh no, Sarah.
Okay. The movie eventually tries to explain this habit without making Milo out to be a total monster, but I still don't know why he does it. I don't even know what he likes about Sarah beyond her being female. Sarah ends up with Charlie, the producer, who has a six-pack and doesn't film ladies on his time off. The love triangle is there to build tension, leading to fights between Milo and Charlie, but I didn't learn much about the characters through this love triangle.
What the fuck is wrong with you? You've been telling us that this whole entire Whitlock story has been going on. Now you've been spying on her. How much of this is true and how much of this is bullshit? Because I've been trying, man. I've been trying to give you the benefit of the doubt.
If you're gonna spend time with characters, you kinda hope that they'll be interesting. Milo is just a creep that becomes paranoid, and he eventually stops being a character altogether near the end. I really gotta wonder why Milo is a young bachelor living by himself in a big house. Where's he getting the money? Is he just living in a big house so they can have that spooky scene where he's walking around in it? Charlie is the kind of aggressive, angry character, but he doesn't have much to do beyond pushing Milo. Sarah doesn't really have any personality to speak of, but she sometimes gets scared and pops some pills.
Just leave me alone, okay? God damn it, Milo!
Sarah, what is wrong? What are you doing? Really now?
The characters are just boring, and a lot of the movie focuses on them. I'd have rather seen more of the mystery family in the tapes than these assholes. Milo, the cameraman, takes his job very seriously. So much so that he records every waking moment of his life for some reason. And when the scary stuff happens, Milo records every sleeping moment as well. Nobody seems all that bothered by the constant recording.
We get some sort of YouTube video or something?
Yeah.
Is this some kind of fantasy world where using a selfie stick won't get me beaten up? Unlike some other found footage films, Always Watching at least has a decent reason for why the characters keep filming. The operator is usually only visible through a camera, but the movie never explains why Milo records so much of his life before the operator shows up, beyond maybe Milo just being a dickhead. In fact, the movie doesn't explain where all of its footage came from, and who compiled it, unlike in the original series where that info is explained up front in the first entry. It has to be said, the creators of the original series weren't involved much with the making of Always Watching. Because of this, the movie doesn't have the same feel of the show that it's based on. For most of the movie, it felt like a Paranormal Activity flick, and towards the end I got more of a Blair Witch vibe. The characters on the show were flat, and the world they lived in felt so desolate and empty, creating a sense of isolation and dread that the movie doesn't capture with its far more lively atmosphere. For fans of the internet series, there isn't even much of a connection to the show. There's a couple of references in the movie to Alex Crayley, a key character from the series, but beyond that, the only big things that the movie shares with the show is that they're both found footage and have the operator. You won't gain much in the way of new insight into the show's mythos or get a lot of answers to the many questions left hanging from the show. It honestly makes the movie feel like a simple cash grab by a studio that wanted to make a movie with Slenderman and have the Marble Hornets name attached, instead of making a movie that's part of a larger story. Because of the lack of connections to the show, though, you don't need to see the series to know what's going on, but I can't imagine anybody caring if they're not invested in the show to begin with. In Always Watching, the operator is up to his old tricks. He pops in and out, causes glitches, hides in plain sight, but he doesn't really do much of anything that he didn't already do on the show with a much smaller budget, I might add. The operator is just standing around at the end of the day, and he doesn't even have any proxies to supplement his default behavior. The movie does do a decent job mimicking the approach of the series, but the glitch-outs don't look nearly as nice as they did in the videos. Always Watching lacks creativity with its larger budget, and doesn't do anything nearly as cool with the operator compared to, say, the awesome Entry 86 of Marble Hornets. Now that was cool. Always Watching really is a disappointing use of the Marble Hornets license, and a total missed opportunity considering contortionist-turned-actor Doug Jones plays the operator, and all I remember him doing in the role was just standing. I know it's the operator, but come on, have him do something cool. The operator's makeup effects are at least a step up, but it doesn't matter that much since he's never seen close up. The horror scenes in Always Watching are standard found footage fare. You have the characters in a dark place usually. You're limited to their perspective, so you're left wondering what will happen next. Quite often, nothing will happen though. A lot of the time, scary stuff will go down when the characters aren't even aware of it. It's not that scary of a movie is what I'm saying here. Marble Hornets wasn't that scary either, but it had a nice dark atmosphere and a sense of mysterious wonder that Always Watching lacks. In this flick, there's not much in the way of build-up when things really start to go bad. The movie just rushed through the two actually horrifying scenes and spent forever on the fake-out scenes. It's annoying. The ending felt especially rushed, like it just needed to end eventually, and it didn't matter where. There's also a bevy of jump scares, which is natural considering this is a Slenderman movie, but I'm talking about the dumb jump scares where a dog will jump on a desk suddenly.
Hey, Chief, no, Marty, no.
Fuck that. Always Watching was surprisingly darker and more gruesome compared to the series. I was taken aback by the higher level of violence. I didn't see that coming. Suffocation is involved in some deaths, but it's kind of funny because with the jump cuts, the movie makes it seem like the characters run out of air in just a few seconds. It's scary to watch a death like that play out because it's such an intimate way to kill somebody, but again, the movie likes to rush the wrong things. The acting is fine, but it feels like the kind of acting that isn't appropriate for a found footage movie.
You ask me? Guy ain't playing with the full deck there. Oh, sorry, I moved my hands.
That's okay. That's all right. That's pretty good.
I'll redo that. You ask me? Guy wasn't playing with the full deck there.
That's great.
The actors try to sound like normal people casually talking, but it all feels too obviously scripted.
I mean, he used to make entire, coded messages sent to the press and the police station, and one of them was actually a little circle with a cross through.
Yeah.
So.
You hope for naturalism in the dialogue and performances of a found footage flick because it can help with immersion, but I just didn't buy the acting in Always Watching. It was a little too rehearsed. Again, the show is better with this aspect due to their far lower budget. Characters looked like average people, the acting was looser, dialogue seemed to be improvised. More realistic overall. Always Watching is lousy as a film adaptation of Marble Hornets, but taken by itself, it's a decent found footage movie. Always Watching isn't a terrible movie, but if you haven't seen the show it takes inspiration from yet, then you're honestly better off just watching that because Marble Hornets is better and, most importantly, free to watch. Still, if you're a fan that's curious and also wants to support the creators of the show, check the movie out. You probably won't be satisfied, but you might get a kick out of a few things that are in the flick that'll tide you over until the next series comes out. I give Always Watching a Marble Hornet story, a paranormal activity, out of Tim Man. It goes to show that it's probably not a super great idea to make movies or TV shows based on internet videos. That doesn't mean I won't take offers, though. I'm desperate.
What happened to it?
He went for a swim. Got hit by a boat.
Spoiler alert. The dog dies. Why would they do that?